Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for staying back and choosing insight over siesta. Let's zoom out. Asia drives nearly 60% of global growth and over a third of world trade. It's the heartbeat of the global economy, but also where the tremors are most felt. Exports are under strain from US tariffs, China's slowdown to softer global demand, rising protectionism and realignment of supply chains. Yet, ASEAN as a bloc is leaning in, linking payment systems, harmonizing trade rules, and deepening connectivity. Intra-Asian trade now makes up more than half the region's total, underscoring how integration is being driven from within the region. On top of it all, we've got artificial intelligence. Some see it as a revolution, others see it as a bubble in the making, but the numbers tell their own story. Global investment in AI is set to reach about 400 billion US dollars this year and could surge past $5 trillion by 2030. Indeed, Asia stands at a fascinating crossroads, pulled in many directions, yet slowly taking its own new shape. Joining me are three leaders helping to shape that future. We've got OCBC's incoming group CEO, Tan Teck Long. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We've got co-founder, Ye Gang.
Yeah, thank you.
And Amazon Web Services Managing Director of ASEAN, Jeff Johnson.
Thank you.
Let's start broad. What's the single biggest opportunity and the hardest challenge you see in Asia right now? Teck Long, I would like to start with you. OCBC is Southeast Asia's second largest bank with deep roots across the ASEAN Greater China corridor. As a financier watching both risk and opportunity across markets, how do you see this landscape evolving?
Thank you for the question. I was introduced to my fellow panelists just now, and you can notice that both of them are from tech companies, whereas I'm from a bank. I think the exchange probably shaped my view, and the answer to this question is that I think the biggest opportunity for the world, and therefore Asia, is AI. And the biggest challenge is also AI. The opportunities of AI is immense, and we are at the beginning of this inflection point using AI as a technology. But the biggest challenge is also AI requires a lot of investment, it's capex heavy, it's energy intensive. So for Asia, some countries may not have the ability to leverage the AI. So in that sense, it can fall behind. So if these countries fall behind, then that would be the biggest risk. Of course, there could be commercially available AI, but it's not quite the same as training your AI for certain users. So I would say that AI is both the biggest opportunity and also the biggest risk.
And we'll be talking a lot more about that as well. Ye Gang, you co-founded a digital ecosystem that touches over hundreds of millions of consumers. What's your take?
As Teck Long was mentioning, also we were discussing just now in the before this panel. So all the topics revolve around the topic of AI. Also, I feel that the AI is a huge value creator, and I will probably put this the same category as, say, the internet and the smartphone, probably even more. So it's going to unleash the power, improve the efficiency, like increase, there will be a huge increase in productivity. And it will also create, I think, many industries that previously wasn't possible before the advent of AI as it is now. So I think the challenges, I think your question is the challenges and opportunities in the context of Asia. I think is actually how to make ourselves relevant in this new revolution that's going to come. I mean, for US, it's very obvious. They are sitting on the top of the value chain for AI, providing the infrastructures, all the large language models and all this. But in Asia, of course, we are a big consumer market. We have a huge demand here. But how do we go beyond just being a market? And how do we become a legit player in this new revolution to come? I think that's the challenges, but also is the opportunities that we will be seeing.
And we can discuss that too further down the road, how
Sure.
Asia can be a trendsetter,
Yeah.
if possible. But as Teck Long mentioned, there are stumbling blocks, specifically funding, CAPEX issues. Jeff, I suspect things might already look a little clearer for you. I hear you've brought a special pair of glasses.
Oh, well, thank you for mentioning, Anita.
They're, by the way, not your regular reading kind of glasses. I'll leave Jeff to fill up the blanks.
Well, perhaps just to illustrate the point of AI, and as someone who moved to the region about a year and a half ago, who is learning Mandarin, but perhaps not progressing fast enough, my teacher tells me every Saturday morning. But yes, just I know smart glasses are in the news a lot, but this is actually a small startup who have made some glasses that will do closed captions, so subtitling, doing real-time translations, so English to Thai to Mandarin and vice versa. And so yeah, as a practical aid, as I travel around Southeast Asia in my role, I'm already finding these useful as a way to just improve communication. And I think, language is just one area that I think will see great advancements in terms of even further AI adoption.
It's fascinating. Example of how AI meets everyday life. I want to raise the question with you on scale. AWS is investing heavily to build the region's AI backbone, be it in Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia. You call them regions.
Yes.
How do you see opportunities and challenges playing out for the largest cloud provider in the world, AWS, and your customers?
Sure. Yeah, I think firstly to the point around opportunity and building just on the comments from the other panelists, I think we really see the opportunity as a chance to really truly democratize access to AI and expertise and intelligence, and really enable people to just compress the curve to learning experiences that have often held back so many people in jobs and roles and livelihoods. And I know maybe many people here over the weekend may have enjoyed the Formula One, and in a way I see AI as almost in the same way that a Formula One driver is surrounded by technology that enables them to drive at 200 miles an hour. I really think AI is going to be able to help people really just surround themselves with expertise and to perform tasks that they may not have been possible to in the past. I think in terms of the challenges, I think what we're seeing is, a lot of organizations just really have come from an era of thinking, actually, I can get great agility from moving to cloud, to thinking I can actually become AI first and start building AI experiments and applications, to now beginning to think how I can truly become AI native and really imagine their business, imagine their processes from the ground up, from a blank sheet of paper, and think how to build that with AI tools. And we see organizations like Chiang Mai University in Thailand, who have created an AI-first university serving 52,000 students and staff across that organization, or even how Singapore's Republic Polytechnic here are building vibe coding tools like Amazon Kiro as a tool set into their creative and design students. So folks that may have never thought they would have been able to build software, write software, create applications, are able to just do that as part of their natural curriculum. So I think this compression time to experience of enabling organizations to advance people more quickly. Perhaps last example from just a banking industry, but with a bank in one of the regions I was with recently, they were talking about taking some of their more junior relationship managers and being able to have them serve some of their more wealthy clients, again, just surrounding them with expertise and AI tools. So I think that's, this democratization, I think, and shift to AI native is really the opportunity, but also the challenge in terms of that thinking and the culture needed in organizations to do that.
I want to zoom out a little bit from tech and AI for now, just because we heard the previous, just the panel discussion before this, and we heard what policymakers had to say about Asia, kind of flipping the script from being the world's factory to going and moving more towards innovation, being in the marketplace and providing services. The IMF had noted recently that labor productivity in financial services is now 4 times higher than manufacturing and twice as high in business services. China's pivot to high tech and services is leading that charge. But all these shifts, this new era of growth, also brings a new kind of volatility. Ye Gang, you have a front row view of shifting consumer trends. Volatility cuts both ways, stronger local demand, but higher competition. How do you balance empowering local sellers while expanding cross-border growth?
Actually, on the topic of competition, I think competition has always been there. And that's what drives a company become a better company. So we are pretty much quite used to competition. But now, of course, now with AI and also this change in trade flows and all this income in different forms. So we just, we don't have a fixed formula, but just deal as when it comes. But I think the most important thing is always keep an open mind, always trying to embrace the new technology and in this particular era, let's say AI. So I like one of the phrase that Jeff used just now, AI native. So we kind of, you know, our company started from the PC era, if you think about it, right? Then this mobile phone comes, then we pivot to mobile, and now AI comes. So it's about how nimble we can pivot to AI and embrace AI, and that gives us keeps this competitive edge. I think that's very important. And on the question of local sellers versus this cross-border trade and stuff, how to balance. For us, actually, the principle is very simple, and also consistent. We support the local players because local players is the base. It gives you the sustainable growth, and it helps the whole ecosystem. Of course, cross-border come in on this, and that really depends on the view of the various governments of the countries that we operate them in. Then we work closely with the government to see how much trade they want to balance between the local and also from cross-border. And I would say that even in our region, even in ASEAN, different governments have a very different view on this topic. So it's very much of a case by case. But overall, we do our best to empower the local sellers and help the local sellers because that's more sustainable in the long term.
But you also keep an eye on the ball in terms of wanting to galvanize cross-border transactions, correct? Volumes?
Yeah, for us, cross-border, I mean, like in certain countries, actually, I think most of the countries in our markets, I think the local sales, you account for 80-90% of the sales. Cross-borders, you'll be surprised on the numbers. So cross-border account for even, with the exception of Singapore, because Singapore doesn't have local manufacturing or all this, right? But most of the countries, probably 80-90%. So you're talking about only 10%. So the changing so-called in the trade and the cross-border doesn't move the needle too much for our business in that way.
And the focus is also quite
local,
clear as well. It's local.
That's right. That's right. For us, everything is local. Yeah. I mean, we are talking specifically about Shopee, not the game, yeah?
Yes, yes, I kind of reckon so.
Yeah.
Take long. How long do investors, or how do investors turn those swings, those volatilities, in terms of record inflows and worrying outflows into long-term opportunity?
I think capital flows tends to be more volatile in the financial market. So that, like for example, inflows into a stock market and exiting a stock market. But in the physical world, in terms of investing, the flows are more stable. We find that investors are still very interested in investing in the region, and their investment thesis tends to be longer term. The challenge for them right now is that they need some clarity on the situation, especially relating to trade tariff, so that they can commit their investments. So I think there's a little bit of wait and see attitude. Having said that, in the physical world, sometimes you also see liquidity, market being flush with liquidity, or sometimes there's a bit of shortage? Well, the answer is very simple. Just approach your OCBC bankers and we can sort it out for you.
I gave you a good opportunity for a plug there, I see.
Thank you. But I'm serious.
Jeff, some markets are racing ahead with AI, while others are still catching up on basic cloud adoption. I know you addressed this in the earlier question. How do you turn that fragmentation into a growth opportunity and help Asia set rather than follow those rules, those global rules?
Yeah, sure. The way that we're thinking about it is, firstly, it's paramount that we just provide cloud infrastructure, AI infrastructure into the markets so that our customers can have access to it, meet either local data residency laws, have the lowest latency services. So we've invested in Singapore, in Indonesia, in Malaysia, in Thailand, in regions. We have local zones in the Philippines and a local zone opening in Vietnam next year. So really, first and foremost, bringing the cloud infrastructure and AI services to, again, democratize access, make it simple for our customers to access. That creates more of a level playing field. Secondly, as we think about just those services, though, connectivity is so important. And so one of the other areas that we've invested in hugely is around a low Earth orbit satellite network called Kuiper, which we have satellites that have launched, and this service is coming live across the world to provide connectivity to everybody. And I think for me, that's going to be so important if we think about driving down the cost of AI and inference and allowing more access to it and providing ubiquitous connectivity, whether you're across a large archipelago-based nation like Indonesia or anywhere in this in ASEAN and beyond, that we will have a level playing field for connectivity. I would say the third area is, of course, we love and we really embrace open source. And in fact, we were all just comparing models in the pre-chat, talking about different LLMs that we're all experiencing and playing with. And so, we're seeing an explosion of open source. We're really embracing that, as we always have done from an AWS perspective, to give our customers a choice and help them build the best solutions. So whether it's supporting the latest OpenAI, open weight models that we've provided, or DeepSeek models, or Q, all of these models, plus our own models, are how we really see, again, providing choice and providing access for our customers. And we see many great examples of how this is helping customers with success, be it GovTech here in Singapore, with their Maestro platform, which is allowing hundreds of data scientists to have access to consistent tools to build models more quickly and deliver solutions. Or indeed organizations like Telkomsel in Indonesia, who have built customer and IT service applications that are reducing the time to service resolution for their 150 million customers by 20 to 21% faster. So we're already seeing, some really amazing examples of innovation happening, and continue to really just have the strategy of providing the broadest choice of both models, technology, and connectivity as the way to address the challenge of fair access.
On that note, I want to raise a recent MIT report on Gen AI divide. It found that about 95% of Gen AI pilots never make it past the lab, with many companies seeing more buzz than bang for the buck. And talking about Gen AI, you heard it here first. Teck Long's a bit of a sci-fi fan, and he's actually even working on a book of his own, sci-fi, fantasy kind of thing. And he's getting a little help from, you guessed it, ChatGPT. Just a little bit of a segue. So I want to get back to, on the serious note, OCBC has rolled out in-house Gen AI tools that boosted productivity by roughly 50%, and this was in last year's annual report. You might have an updated figure. How do you separate hype from real value creation? And where do you see AI delivering a tangible returns in Asia?
This is a $1 million question, or multi-million dollar question. I think of it from at two different levels. The first level is about people readiness. OCBC rolled out OCBC GPT more than a year ago, and that's after 6 months of piloting with 1,000 users internally. The whole idea is that A, we boost the productivity of the staff individually, and B, as they get comfortable with the AI, they can find use cases which is more relevant to the workplace, and therefore they can better participate in this AI journey. The second is actually system readiness. I don't think AI alone can solve the problem in real life. And that's probably why the stats show that 95% of the use cases of AI doesn't fulfill its promise. To do AI well, you actually need digital processes, which can throw out more data. And you also must have a good data infrastructure to train the AI. So you need to get all these things together before you can even extract value. So for OCBC, we are a financial services group. We have started our digitalization process for a long time. So we have the data and we have the processes. So the question is that how do we leverage this and marry the capability of AI to extract value? But not all industries are really at the same level of readiness, and sometimes due to the type of industry, the nature of the industry.
Do you see any specific industry that it's looking easier to tread on this path?
Generally, I would say services industries is probably easier at this point in time. In the physical worker industry, it's a bit harder because a lot of the stuff they do has yet to be digitized.
Right, okay. Jeff, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos said recently that the biggest impact AI is going to have, it's going to impact every single company in the world. AWS powers many of these pilots, yet most companies are struggling to move from experiment to scale.
Sure.
How are you helping them when they are held back as a result?
No, I think building on Tech Long's comments, I think there's this, again, this phasing that we're seeing of customers have gone from an era of Gen AI in 2023 where they're experimenting to beginning to put things into production, single use cases, etc. in 2024, to beginning to think how to truly scale those use cases and create what we're seeing in organizations is almost creating factories and centers of excellence around generative AI. And I think exactly to Tech Long's point, some of the ensuring the data governance and everything is in place helps you begin to scale and begin to build hundreds of use cases at scale. So I think part of the answer to the question is that it's just that journey of we're in this kind of scale up phase at the moment. And many customers and organizations I'm working with are creating these refineries or factories and ways to be able to really unlock value at scale. I think, however, we are seeing some quite, I think, significant impacts already that I know, the MIT report was super interesting, but I think there are already just some impacts. If I look at our own organization within Amazon and look at just some of the developer productivity gains that we've seen, we looked at just some of the work around our legacy Java code bases, and just through all of the upgrade processes saved 4,500 developer years in terms of running those through generative AI tools using Amazon Q for Developer. That's an equivalent to $260 million of annual savings in terms of that upgrade processes and those code systems. So I think we're seeing these examples both within AWS, and then also I mentioned Maestro earlier, the GovTech platform essentially for letting different agencies across the government benefit from AI tools. And so they've already seen at the Ministry of Manpower using document processing over 1 million documents, saving 2,000 hours of work. And then within the Central Provident Fund, automatically processing 600,000 call transcripts as well, using AI to draw out insights. So I think it's a fair question. I think there are organizations that are in this kind of scale-up phase of adopting, I think, and creating centers of excellence. And so, we're also, co-investing along with Singapore government initiatives. So we've created a fund for 300 Singapore organizations that invest up to $600,000 in each organization to help with cloud funding and credits to help unblock some of these projects and areas as well. So I think we're kind of at that tipping point. And then probably the other factor is organizations beginning to see how they can use agentic AI as well, and to really find different ways of scaling their organization beyond the normal boundaries that they've had.
Does anyone want to hazard a guess on how long you think it could take for companies to even more broadly adopt AI? 3, 5, 7 years? In a broader scale.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're seeing it in terms of, I would say, this year, a shift from experiments to single use cases to core functions within the business, taking sales and marketing and saying, how can we reimagine that from an AI native perspective? So I think we're right in that kind of moment where these projects and initiatives are happening. So I think it's happening in certain areas, software development. Again, I was with another banking customer in Thailand. They're generating over 10 million lines of code now using code generation tools. It's about 1/10 of their software development code base each year. So I think there are many examples that we could probably find that didn't make it into the MIT report as well. Yeah. But I think in a broader population, I think we're probably at a tipping point of seeing the value unlock as well.
So that's on an encouraging trajectory. When you talk about AI, the focus is constantly on productivity gains, on work. But the reason US $55 billion buyout of electronic arts indicate there's also another sphere emerging, and it shows where investors think that extra time will go, which AI is giving people more hours on the clock. It's going into entertainment, more playtime. See's digital entertainment arm already reaches over 680 million active users with more than 50 million paying. Did I get that right, Yegang?
Yes, correct.
And I'm told you're a regular on the basketball court 2 or 3 times a week, sometimes with your kids. Yeah. So you've got more free time as a result of AI as well. As automation frees up more leisure time, where do you see the next big opportunity for C, in gaming or beyond?
Yeah, so thanks for the question. I think before I answer the question about our own company, I will say that I'm a firm believer in the power of AI. And I think it's a huge value creator. And it's going to transform many of the industries that we are familiar with, and maybe even create some new industries. And I think it's already happening. From education, the way you teach your kids, it's how the tuition industry will go. I think it will be very different, right? The way my wife teach my kids 2 years ago versus now is very different. How they use ChatGPT and other tools to teach the kids, right? So it's very different. And also, let's say medical industry. For me, I'm now very used to just dump my whatever blood test result into ChatGPT and get the assessment as my first line of consultation on any medical questions, right? So and that question say, assuming now you have unlimited number of doctors, or let's say average doctors at the first line of consultation, then how this industry going to evolve? So I think it's a question that maybe there's no people see the clear answer now, but one thing is for certain that it's going to be very different 5 years from now on how people, how business operate in these industries. And back to your MIT report about the 95% of the ventures are flops. I think that's a very common in any, at the start of any new innovation, when you have, even we are talking about, I think someone else was, I think maybe Jeff Bezos was talking about the bubble, right? So about I think that's very common because, you've seen the boom and bust of the internet.com days. And, but if you look back, whatever the bust to the companies, that eventually 20 years later, it actually not only delivered the promise that we projected at the height of the .com before it bust. Now it's actually go way beyond that 20 years later on. So I would say maybe similar things is happening in AI. Maybe there's some bubble in some valuation of the companies, or maybe there's some promises people say, oh, it's not going to happen. But maybe I think this time going to be faster. I think about 10 years later, you look back, all the promises, all the things that happen in the sci-fi fictions and Delong was talking about, those will be realized in one way or another, but maybe in different forms, right? And the one good example is Amazon, right? So it went up, bust, now you see the value, right? So it's a few times of it's at the peak it's a boom day. So I would say that AI is real and it will come. As to our company, and no, we are not like the big companies. I mean, to our, the bigger companies in the US have so much resources. So we have to be very careful about how we allocate our capital, how we spend our resources. I would say that we are embracing AI in every possible way in three of our businesses, whether it's gaming, whether it is e-commerce or digital finance, right? So for in gaming, I think the easiest thing is for content creation, right? Script writing, and we used to outsource a lot of work for arts, drawing, and the producing those skins. It used to take maybe say 1 week to have some models coming out for the skin in game. Now maybe you take, let's say, 1 day or even half a day. So there's a huge productivity boost in those. And I would say AI is very good at this stage, right? We know the one of the problem with AI is the hallucination. It tells you, wrong answers or sounds good, but actually inaccurate answers. But for entertainment, they're actually not so important, right? Because people love to, hear stories and care less about whether it's true or not, especially in fantasies, right? So AI is very good at come up with the stories and give you ideas, help the creative people to be more creative. So we are fully leveraging on those and do content creation for our entertainment business. So productivity improvement for our gaming business. Then of course for Shopee e-commerce, there's many other ways that we're embracing the AI, and similar for our digital financial sectors, right? So that's how we say. But for the new opportunities, we are still sitting there and observing very carefully because we are only at the start of a very big revolution. We want to be very careful and see the right opportunities, then jump in.
But would you agree that digital entertainment might be an emerging bright spot as a result of?
Yes, I fully agree with that. As you rightly point out, like AI is going to liberate the productivity in people. People will have more free time. And of course, many developed countries are already talking about 4 working days, right? So people will have more free time. And there will be new form of entertainment coming out, like OpenAI for that new Sora, the new app, right? So it's producing some very interesting videos that I'm also flipping for hours to see the content, not just to study the product, but I really get enjoyment out of watching the videos. It's very fun. It's very creative. But of course, I don't know, maybe after 1 week, 1 month, I get bored of it, but there will be a new form of these things coming out. So again, I would say 2 years, even 2 years from now, like you look back, like on the new, what do you call that, the form of entertainment, it will be there. Like, of course, it's our job to make sure that we jump in at the right time and capture the opportunities.
Mm-hmm. So like from the business's point of view and rules and regulations as you operate in different markets, the more transformative the technology is, the tighter the scrutiny gets. And across the region, rules are evolving really fast. We're looking at Indonesia's digital pivots and Vietnam's new AI laws. In Singapore, we've got the AI Verify framework that's trying to push for innovation with the accountability. Take long. Do regulatory swings deter long-term capital, or can they actually create openings for investors who move quickly?
I think generally businesses don't like regulatory environment with changes without forewarning. So businesses who tends to make longer term decision would really appreciate an environment which is more stable, more consultative. So generally,
Ideally, yes.
yeah. So generally, businesses don't like environment which changes too fast from regulatory angle. We have seen some very interesting businesses which move really quickly that regulators struggle to catch up. So I remember when I was based in China, that's when Yuebao, which is a product belonging to Alipay, was basically launched or invented, depending on how you look at it. From the time of launch to the time it became the number 3 largest money market fund in the world, it took only about 10 months. So the local banks were obviously very upset. So they went to the regulator and lodged a complaint. Why didn't you regulate them? And the regulator said, at first, they were small. Then they were too big. So they couldn't react at all, not in the span of 10 months. So this is one example of the world has changed so much that technology enables some businesses to really scale very quickly. And regulators may struggle to catch up. So that's also an example of the other direction.
Jeff, what about you're in markets which have divergent rules and regulations? How do you strike that balance, keeping innovation alive while staying on the right side of regulation and not letting it crimp your customers' innovation and push forward?
A few different layers in how we think about it. I think firstly I mentioned the regions that we've invested in, and sort of circa $30 billion of cloud infrastructure committed and invested across the regions here is the first thing which can help us be more compliant if there are local data residency laws, etc. Next layer, I would say, from a security point of view, security is very much job zero within AWS. So we support over 143 different security standards and certifications, so customers know they can trust putting data in our cloud. They have data's encrypted. They have the keys to that data, etc. there. And then as we think about AI, so we were the first major cloud vendor to support ISO 42001, which is the standard that's been created for responsible AI. So again, that's very material for organizations who want to ensure that the AI that they're using and building with supports those standards. And then lastly, I'd say we want to make it super easy for organizations to build responsible AI applications. So into our products and technologies, we've created something called guardrails in Bedrock, which helps customers remove harmful content. We actually created a service called automated reasoning. I know hallucinations were mentioned earlier, but this is actually a way to ensure that the data that comes back from a model removes hallucinations as well. And then in our own large language models, the Amazon Nova family, we've built in, again, tools there that will automatically remove harmful content. So we're trying to make it very easy to move fast and to build applications using AI and generative AI, while at the same time complying with the highest standards of responsible AI and security and resilience as well. So that's really sort of how we look at it. And if I look at actually maybe Bolttech, the insurtech organization or company in Singapore, I mean, they're just a great example. They're operating across 30 different international markets. We built a Gen AI platform with them to enable them to reimagine their claims, their underwriting, and again, operating across all those jurisdictions and regulations in a trustworthy and safe way. So it's, and probably lastly, I would say, our teams work closely with regulators and customers as well to just try and ensure that we can help adhere to standards and interpret.
Yegang,
Yes.
how does Shopee navigate such unpredictability as far as regulations are concerned, or volatility, if you want?
Yeah, for us, we have one principle because we are a Singapore company, and in all the markets we operate in, we always remember that we are a guest in that company, in that country, and also we are actually coming from a small country relatively to the market that we operate in. So for us, it's always to embrace the regulators. So that's we don't. We work together with the government, and we operate in so many markets, and for the same, just now you mentioned about cross-border, right? The trade. Different countries just have a different view about cross-border. Some really hate it, some really embrace it. So for us, I think the important thing is just the communications and work very closely with the regulator. So even you come up with decisions that we don't like or it doesn't benefit us, at least it's an informed decision and it's well-discussed decision. Then, as a guest, we just follow the rules. That's how we operate.
So frustration aside, just toe the line and follow the rules in the country.
Yeah, I wouldn't say frustration. It's how do you say, we don't see it that way because
you haven't had
yeah,
any
we always see regulations and working with the government as something that's really positive. I'm not saying just because saying it, I really see so, because end of the day, like all the stakeholders have to be happy and they have to understand situation, and the people all have common sense. You wouldn't like say, you know, like as long as it's informed decision, everything transparent, I believe people will come up with a very sensible decision.
I think it's fair enough. You're saying everyone's aligned.
That's right.
As well, in terms of the common goal, ultimately, at least.
Yeah, that's right.
Asia's next wave of growth will hinge not just on technology, but on energy. Clean, reliable power now decides where factories and data centers are built and increasingly where investors place their bets. So the question is not whether Asia will grow, but how it can grow without tripping its own circuits. Teck Long, how do you see investors weighing the short-term cost against strategic need to finance Asia's clean energy transition?
The investors always will look for something which is profitable. And for energy projects, generally, it's a very long time horizon. So as long as they structure it correctly, they are quite happy to do it. So the constraint tends to be the regulatory environment and the support of the country in promoting these projects. Just now in my opening speech, I spoke about some niche areas. The customer demand is important. Data centers are very power hungry, very energy intensive. And the tech companies have done their part. Like for example, Amazon, actually I noticed that they will spec that if they have a data center where they anchor, they want the energy to be clean in part or in whole. I think if more of the players do that, and since AI is a growing field exponentially, and therefore we'll need even more data centers, it can actually help to increase the amount of renewable energy investment. So all we need is a regulatory framework to support it.
Very quickly, Jeff, does the limitations in energy cap your ambitions? And which markets, if at all?
I think to Teck Long's point, I mean, we're very focused on creating actually this as a positive energy transition for many organizations, and traditional data centers actually moving to cloud is about 4.1 times more energy efficient. So there's a lot of legacy environments and so on that are very power hungry versus modern new data centers. And yes, we invest a huge amount in renewable energy, and actually we set a goal to power all of our operations by renewable energy by 2030. We actually hit that goal 7 years ahead of target and continue to be the largest purchaser of renewable energy globally. And so there are many projects here in Southeast Asia. We're working with EDP Renewables, Sembcorp. We have 4 solar projects in Indonesia with PLN. So actually fueling the growth we view as we continue to democratize access to AI and connectivity, then absolutely ensuring that it's powered by green and renewable energy is key. So we're investing heavily in that, and we'll continue to do so.
We've covered a lot of ground, from technology to trade and energy. Before we open the floor for questions, a quick reminder, you can scan the QR code on your tables to send in your questions through Pigeonhole. We'd love to hear from you. But first, let's switch gears and end on something lighter. It's time for a quick fire round. Short answers only, 1 line or 1 thought. So gentlemen, curb yourselves. First question, if you could remove 1 bottleneck overnight, regulation, energy, or talent, which would it be? Jeff?
Talent, I think for me, I mean, whilst we're investing in digital skills, we've trained 1.8 million people across ASEAN since 2017. But I think this transition, as we see institutions like Singapore Republic Polytechnic, building AI tools into the curriculum, I think it's more, just more encouraging that and building the skills and ubiquitous usage is key.
Ye Gang, regulation, energy, or talent?
Talent. People is what make things happen.
I will be different. People is important. I want to preface this. But what's really commercially important for ASEAN is a common upgraded energy grid.
So energy it is.
Yes, energy.
This is 2 versus 1. Second one, cloud, capital, or caffeine? Take long?
I would say, I start my day with cloud because I read the Straits Times, Business Times, and all the news on my iPad.
Yeah.
It's real. Of course, coffee, right?
So cloud.
For me, basketball actually. Exercise.
So you've got 3 choices here. Basketball would come under. Cloud, capital, or caffeine? You need caffeine to play ball.
Yes, maybe caffeine then.
Okay. Jeff.
Can I break the rules and add a fourth C?
I don't know, he's added a B. I'm going to let you roll with it.
I was just going to go with customers. I just think when I get up every morning and I think just some of the just amazing things that are happening. We did some press last week in Thailand with Axons who are powering digital farming and enabling greater crop yields, and just some of the kind of impacts that we're seeing. I personally find that gets me up and just inspires me every day.
Fantastic. And finally, what's been the most, you can go a bit long on this, Ish. What's been the most unexpected lesson in leadership for you this year? Jeff?
I think it's this compression of experience that we're seeing AI tools enable, and whether it's creating content like Yang mentioned, just people being able to achieve more to become that F1 driver that I mentioned in their own environment. I think it's really just creating the environment to encourage usage of the tools and really adoption and change to that AI native mindset, and reimagining processes from the ground up has really just, for me, been just probably the biggest learning through this year and maybe last year as well.
Yeah, for me also AI related. I think this year is it's empowering people on the ground for their AI initiatives. It's really amazing. A lot of the AI ideas or products that we are using now are actually all those are ground up, bottom up initiatives that the people just take their own initiatives to do. So empowering them with this will be very important.
Fantastic. Take long.
So Anita, thank you for allowing us to say a few words more rather than just a short answer. So I'm going to take up your offer.
Yeah, you are eating into the audience time though. So.
I would say that the keyword for me this year is actually balance. If you think about the topics we discussed today, we need to balance risk and reward relationship as a leader in current climate. So that's the first point. The second point relates to AI, which we discussed extensively at this panel and the whole day long. AI also requires a balance because there's a huge cost relating to AI, but the value extraction may not be so obvious at this point in time. We know it has potential, but we do not know how to extract the value fully yet. Now, let me give a simple example. If I want to search for a restaurant, I can go to Google and I can find a restaurant. If I use ChatGPT, I can find a restaurant, but the energy consumption is likely to be different. In fact, could be several times more. And even better than that, what ChatGPT can throw out is a restaurant which may not exist. So it hallucinates. So if you think about that, if you go for fit for purpose technology, it may be a Google or simpler solution than just focusing exclusively on AI. So the right balance is important.
Thank you. That's a perfect note to end on. Now for the Q&A, we've got about 10 minutes. If you have one from the floor, just give us a show of hands and the mic will follow you and fire away. Just give us your name and your organization. Anybody?
Yes, here.
Table.
Yes. Thank you very much for your insight and wisdom. Just two quick questions. How important is sustainability to AWS OCBC and SCA? And also second question is, how do you avoid greenwashing and AI washing? Thank you.
Sorry, could you just repeat?
Yeah, it's how important is sustainability to each of your
Oh, yes,
organizations?
yeah.
How did you say avoid greenwashing and AI washing?
Yeah, so from Amazon, from an AWS perspective, it's of the highest priority. We set out with our climate pledge to be free of carbon by 2040, and have encouraged many hundreds of organizations to join us on that. I mentioned just the things that we've been doing in terms of renewable energy for our data centers, but it's not just energy coming in, it's how we're actually designing our silicon as well. So a number of years ago, we started our own custom silicon and have built processors called Graviton. They're about 60% more energy efficient than traditional compute instance type. So this drastically reduces the amount of power and cost, actually. We saw TechCom bank securities drive about 30% cost savings by moving to these different processor types. So right at the silicon level, we're caring about energy. We have our own custom silicon for training large language models called Trainium. They're about 3 times more efficient as well than previous instances. So we're driving, again, sustainability within the data centers. We apply liquid cooling technologies as well to reduce heat energy. We have also innovated around mechanical heat energy to reduce that by about 46% in data centers. So there's kind of a ton going on just in terms of actual innovation within our data centers, and actually the latest designs provide about 12% more compute power for the same footprint of data centers. So it's a constant innovation cycle that's going on there, as well as all the things around renewable energy outside.
Take Long, what about OCBC? Briefly.
Sustainability remains an important strategic pillar of OCBC. We have finance, we have commitment of more than 70 billion Sing dollar in sustainable finance to date. We are also very excited about new renewable energy project, as you can sense from the conversation just now. We are also helping a lot of SMEs transit their business model into the sustainability part of the equation, because it actually helps them create more revenue and create more value added.
Wonderful. And
Yeah. So for us, I think this is, to me, this sustainability it starts with the mindset from the top. For me personally, I'm a strong believer of green initiatives. And I would say that if I were to use one word to describe what we're doing, I say do your part, right? But of course, we have many initiatives, but one of the things we do is we don't have our own data centers, but we use a lot of data centers. So we squeeze people like AWS to make sure that they use the green energies, right? So I mean, that's actually, jokes apart, that's actually one of the key considerations and the evaluation points in our vendor selections. But of course, there's many other things.
And there was a question on greenwashing.
Oh yeah, greenwashing. For us, we don't get rewarded for green or this investor. So there's no washing. So whatever we do is all genuine, on this part.
And similarly, I mean, the reports I mentioned, they're independent studies on just the efficiencies of moving to data centers. We provide carbon tracking tools, and actually, there are a number of ISV solutions, as a Terrascope in Singapore, that provide carbon tracking tools of cloud footprints in AWS data centers as well. So.
Thank you. Anyone else from the floor? We've got table 78.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Thao, a private citizen from Vietnam. I know that the government of Singapore invests about $70 million in a 2-year program called Sea Lions. That is about creating large language model for AI training. So my question is whether Amazon and Sea Limited contribute to this fantastic initiative, not only for the benefit of Singaporean citizens, but also for ASEAN community at large. Thank you.
Yeah. So Sea Lion is something we've been very, very involved in, and I would say, not just within Sea Lion. Actually, you mentioned you're from Vietnam, and actually, I think of some of the work we've done with companies like AI Hey in Vietnam that provide, think of it, for those of you not familiar with it, just like a very localized search engine for Vietnam, you know, with lots of cultural nuances built in, a model particularly trained around that. We see, you know, similar, actually, one of the customers we're working with in Thailand around the typhoon model as well there. And so this localization of models, as I was touching on a little bit earlier, just this kind of taking open source models, customizing them, localizing them to language cultures. Sea Lion's a great example. And we see many organizations using that, building that into customer service environments and so on to help tailor their experience. Maybe my glasses will be able to use it as well one day.
I'm not sure about the details of the program, but Vietnam is one of our most important markets. Actually, Vietnam is the country that I visited probably the most in the past 2-3 years, and we invested hundreds of millions of dollars into Vietnam, whether infrastructure and also on people. I believe we employ more than office people, maybe easily more than 5,000 people in Vietnam. And of course, not only that we invested in the human talents there, like also we spent a lot of resources to help the local SMEs to be able to keep up with the competitions. And so we are very happy with our presence in Vietnam.
Thank you. Anybody else? Table 79.
Good afternoon, distinguished panels of speakers. I'm Charlie So from Sarawak Trade Office. Sarawak government is promoting green energy in Sarawak and try to supply good green energy to ASEAN. My question is, given the AI acceleration, there will be massive use of power and therefore has an impact on the world climate. So I would like to ask the esteemed guests to share what advanced technology that you'll be deploying to balance between trade, consumption, investment versus climate change. Thank you.
So climate change efforts, sustainability, clean energy, we've discussed that in
Perhaps I'd just recap on, so I think we're investing in over 600 renewable projects globally, largest purchaser of renewable energy to fuel our operations and data centers, and really think of it both right from the silicon layer through to the data center design, through to helping customers move off of maybe less efficient legacy tech environments to more efficient cloud-based environments. So it's, you know, it's absolutely a focus that we continue to have.
Take long. I want to expand on that and be more specific with regards to the question. China already has one of the world's heaviest renewable mixes, which is pushing prices down globally. And ASEAN can benefit from this trend, but it still needs to build its own scalable green capacity. How do you see China's role shaping Asia's energy transition? And is it an advantage to leverage, or does it risk leaving ASEAN behind?
I think it's definitely an advantage. China has been upgrading changing its energy mix. Today, more than 50% of its power generating capacity is actually in renewable energy. China is also a market leader in the making of solar panels and many other equipment relating to renewable energy. So in ASEAN, if we are consistent and principled in developing renewable energy, this means that the input cost, the raw material cost, the component cost, the solar panel cost is actually at a very reasonable rate at the moment. So in that sense, ASEAN businesses should tap on this. ASEAN government should be supportive of this in order to get the benefit of a low-cost producer.
Sure, so there's more upside to
Yes.
that as well. With that, we've come to the end of our show, our panel discussion. If there's one thing to remember today, the future's messy, but it's ours to shape. With that, Teck Long, Yegang, Jeff, thank you for your thoughts. We owe them a big applause.